Hi there, and welcome to the Multiply You podcast, where we showcase top experts in their space and reveal all the secrets you need to know to multiply you.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Austin Clark here, host of the Multiply You podcast. I have just, the last 10 days, since the New Year's begun, I don't know if there's like something in the New Year's Eve water or New Year water or whatever, but just the guests that have been on have been absolutely phenomenal. And I'm really excited to be able to introduce Zack, who owns a phenomenal marketing agency and company. And not only that, but for all of you that are listening, it is specific to our industry. It's specifically pests, specifically wildlife. You know, the audiences, I kind of usually share this as before we go live, but I have found that the audience of this podcast is business owners, C-suite level executives, upper level management, mid-level management. I even have some frontline employees that reach out and listen in the home service space, normally in the $500,000 to the $250 million range. And so just so you know, Zack, that's kind of the audience. And I think that you can speak on all of those levels to all of those points, but it's not, in my experience, it's not just pest, it's HVAC, garage door, plumbing, electrical, anything that really touches the home and the home service space. And so I'm excited to have some of these conversations. This podcast and this episode, as they all are, it's brought to you by my company, Moxie Pest Control. We're growing. 2022 was wonderful. I hope it was just fantastic and record-breaking for every one of you that are listening too. We have big plans. I'm normally not dressed in a suit and tie, but we just got done with our big Q1 quarterly meeting. So there's a lot of excitement coming off of that for what we look to be able to accomplish in 2023. Part of how we've grown the last several years, though, we've done the best to do some of the things and implement some of the strategies that Zack certainly will share with us as we get into the podcast. But we have also done it via acquisition. So we have bought a handful of companies in Phoenix and nationally throughout the country. Those have gone well. We've learned a lot from each and every deal that we've done. They're fun, they're challenging. It's something that's a little bit different than maybe more traditional ways to grow. And so if you are out there, you've got 4, 5, 6 trucks on the road, and are interested to know what some of those conversations may be like around valuation, interest rates, what have you, I would certainly love to have those conversations with you. You can reach out to me directly on my cell. It's 480-254-9730, or you can email me directly at aclark@moxiepestcontrol.com. And we've got some neat deals that are in the works nationally and locally as well. And so hopefully we can announce some of those towards the end of the year. Zack Flanagan is the CEO and co-owner of Hive Marketing, a digital marketing and lead generation company exclusive to the pest and wildlife industry. Their flagship offering, Marketing Independence, encompasses all of a company's digital marketing efforts, combined with weekly one-on-one marketing coaching to build up a brand so they no longer need to work with any marketing company ever again. Boy, oh boy, if you can deliver just half of that, is that the dream or what?
That's the dream. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. That is the dream.
Welcome to the show, Zack. Thank you so much for being here. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. Living the dream every single day. Getting to help small business owners kind of take their digital marketing or their business or their brand or anything, right, for that matter, to the next level.
So let's back up. How did you get into it? I mean, were you doing marketing back in high school? I mean, what has led you from the beginning to here? What does that path look like?
Yeah, absolutely. So I was a writer growing up, right, a fiction writer. Really enjoyed that world, but English does not pay the bills, right? So as I went throughout college, right, I got into communications and digital media. Always really loved video production. So I was really heavily into that. And digital communication kind of all leads to Google at the end of the day. It seems like. So naturally, I just found a home in building websites, optimizing them for the web. Been with multiple different companies over the years, mental health and life coaching company. I worked for some of the local government agencies around here. So it's been a whirlwind. I even did event planning for a little while, just to get a little bit of taste of that. But so as far as getting into Hive, so I joined a company called Summit Environmental Solutions 3 years ago. And we were able to come up with a fantastic digital marketing plan. We got so good at it that we decided to start offering all those services to other companies, right? Because at the end of the day, I always feel like business owners should at least have a general knowledge on all this stuff. Because if not, they end up getting not swindled, right? But we've all had marketing companies that promise the world, promise, big dreams, and then just can't deliver. Everything we do is backed by data, backed by what Google says is the right way to do things, right? Obviously, there's a little testing and a little playing around, right, to make sure everything's, because things change on almost a weekly basis now. If you kept up with any Google algorithm updates, but that's pretty much how we got here.
Wonderful. So, you said English doesn't pay the bills, but good copy coupled with the right type of placement in a market, that can pay the bills and then some.
Yes, that was Zack about a decade ago. So yeah, he knows now that good copywriting is something that you absolutely have to have, whether it's writing some headlines for Google Ads or descriptions or even on-page SEO, right? It all comes down to content that is direct, that meets the searcher's intent, and is just overall helping that customer find what they needed to do.
So I feel like you identified me as a business owner maybe a handful of years ago about trying a firm, not having a lot of education about it. I feel like I'm a little bit farther along in my marketing or advertising knowledge or education, but still have firms and experts that do their specific things. What would you, and you said something before we kind of went on that really resonated with me. It's like, hey, look, I've found that a lot of pest control owners and operators, they're really good at the technical aspect. They're really great at running the business. They know how to kill bugs better than anybody and how to mix this product better than anybody. But as far as maybe some of the things that you are an expert at, Zack, they just haven't put the same amount of time into that as they've put into knowing their business. And so what would you say to the business owner that is still heavily focused on their business of pest control? That is either, I have to imagine that everyone that is out there that is not doing what you're suggesting to do or what your firm is about, that they have to know that they're missing something. And so how do you encourage them to take that first step? Or what would you also say to those that have tried this firm and that firm and that firm and didn't get the results that how do they begin to get that education and have that courage to make an investment?
Absolutely. And that's exactly what it is, right? It's an investment. So digital marketing, when you're first starting to talk to somebody about it, right? It's unknown to them, right? Again, you're in the pest control world, you know that business. But when it comes to throwing up a website, it's not the same as it was 15 or 20 years ago, where you could just have a landing page that's slightly optimized or throw a bunch of keywords in there. It's just not how it works anymore. And a lot of customers, right, pest control company owners are scared that they don't have the budget to be able to compete. And that's ultimately what it ends up coming down to, right? They're scared of the cost. So they end up going with a provider that's, I'll do everything for you for $200 a month, and you're going to get the best results you've ever gotten in your whole life, right? And that's appealing to a lot of people, right? Because they just don't know that $200 is not going to get them anywhere, because those people are not going to be implementing the right ideas, the right keywords. The thing that kind of sets us apart is we still do this stuff every day, right? We're in the wildlife removal and pest control industry. We have techs on the street running routes, people pulling raccoons out of attics every single day, right? So we have a different look at how the industry operates, and we can kind of relate to customers a little bit better that way because we can speak the same language. So I think usually when I talk to them, when they're first kind of getting into this realm, I'll get a call, and that's the thing that gives people the most comfort, right? You know my industry, you know what I'm talking about, you know what you're doing. And that ultimately leads to comfortability, which lets us take it to the next step, right? Okay, Google Ads is scary. Google's going to take your money one way or the other, right? If you're not running the right keywords, you're going to lose money, right? You won't generate leads and then wonder why. Same with SEO. If you pour a bunch of money into developing content, but it's the wrong content that's not meeting the intent of the searchers there is just good money after bad. So I would say if a customer can do the basics, right, to start off, that's great. That's the base level, right? Getting your reviews, having a website that's optimized for your area. We're service area businesses, right? Nobody's just, there's not a storefront and that's where people come and get their pest control, right? We go to you. So you have to optimize for local search, right? Which involves Google business profiles. It involves getting every single review you possibly can get. So, and I feel like for the most part, people know they need to get reviews, right? I can never remember the exact statistic, but it's something like 85% of people look at reviews before they ever call a business for services. So I think there is definitely a level which people get comfortable and then they're more willing to do these sort of things. So sometimes it's find the right company and take the leap, right? Do your research, find out, the base level of information on what you need. There's a ton of great resources out there for multiple different companies that can kind of walk you through that initial process.
Why do you find, Zach, business owners reach out, specifically to you and your firm, and it's like, hey, maybe there's like a sense of comfort, like you said, hey, this company, yeah, they're a marketing company, but they do a lot of what I do. What problem is the business owner usually trying to solve when they reach out to you?
Austin, I'm sure you will say the exact same thing, right? But it's lead generation, right? That is the start of every small business's problems, right? You're either not generating enough leads or you're not generating leads at all. You're just starting out. You have no idea what to do. So you end up buying a bunch of leads from Home Advisor, Angie, Thumbtack, the lot, right? And you have to compete with 7 different companies for that one job. And then it becomes a race to the bottom and you just can't get any traction that way. You're bidding that lowest pest control price you can offer while still, with gas being as expensive as it is, people are out here giving $25 services, right? So that's usually what they reach out to in the beginning, right? Hey, we need some lead generation services. We're not generating enough leads. We want to generate more. And that turns into, okay, well, over here on your main website, we could generate you a lot more over a longer period of time, right? And that's going to build a foundation for success for you. That website is the foundation for success. And if you don't spend the time and effort to really get that optimized, to get an appropriate amount of links to your site, to be a fixture in your community, right? Because that's also part of it. Your content needs to be helpful. So it kind of just expands into this whole like, hey, look, SEO is not just we're just going to write some content and put it on the page. There's a whole bigger picture to it. And that initial kind of, okay, well, we'll generate you some leads for a little bit. And then let's start talking about this other stuff, because I'll want to generate leads for you all day, but I would much rather you have something at the very end of it that is generating your own leads for however long it takes for Google to update the algorithm again and you need another optimization.
Yeah. Well, and I love that too. I think we're so aligned because that's kind of where I want to go next. So these business owners, they reach out to you, and I don't know what revenue range they're in or so, but small business, probably under 2 million or at or about there. So you get the site functioning, you do an audit, you get them to kind of get more reviews, maybe do some like online reputation management, dial some of those sorts of things in. I heard you say SEO, past that to be able to generate lead longer term, whether they're still working with you or not, or until Google updates something and they're like, Doc, what's going on?
Why are my keywords
yesterday? Yeah. And so what does kind of the next step look like? Is it all SEO, or once some of those foundational pieces are there, what's phase 2?
Right. So, and now we're kind of talking about like marketing independence, right? Which is our flagship. I don't know of any other marketing company that's out there that's like, hey, I want to do all this for you. I want to teach you what you need to do as a small business. And then at the very end of it, I want you to fire me, right? Like I want to be gone. I want you guys to be able to do this all on your own. And once you reach a certain level, right, that's where you want to be. So that first step is getting everything square, right? Getting that SEO strong, maybe a pay-per-click campaign if you have the budget, obviously. The more leads you generate, the more revenue you have, the more you can put back into marketing, the more leads you get, right? So it's kind of a snowball effect. So once we get all that square, let's say, that takes 6 months, a year, right? Everybody's a little bit different depending on the area, depending on how much competition there is. Moving into that second year with marketing independence, we're talking more about long-term goals, right? We're getting into a little bit more, okay, well, do you need to do some direct advertising, right? Do you have the budget for that? Are you doing local trade shows? Are you doing, how's your branding, right? You need a new logo. That's kind of what we're expanding into then. And then, of course, growing service areas, right? As you generate more revenue, right? You can go out a little farther, maybe open up a satellite location, or, open up another business in another area across the country, right? And start, building up that presence overall. And as you kind of do that, and you build more authority to the website because people are mentioning and talking about you. Obviously, you know this with Moxie, national brand, right? There's some brand recognition already built in. That's what you're trying to do in that second level, but at a more hyper-local regional level.
Wonderful. So what would you say, or like what caution would you give, or is there like 3 common mistakes that business owners almost always make? I mean, is it a mistake for them to try to learn it on their own while they're running their business? Or, when you're talking to people or have learned about some of their marketing efforts historically, where have they gone wrong, and how could they not do that again?
Right. Yeah. So I think one of the biggest mistakes is people will take bad advice, right? From somewhere. There's definitely a lot of resources out there that are not above board, right? That are going to recommend, it's a guy on YouTube, right? And he said, if I do this, I'll start ranking better and then you just buying 1,000 backlinks or something from Fiverr, and all of those are spammy, and it's actually going to hurt you in the long run instead of help you. So, and we found that with the helpful content update that just came out from Google not too long ago, and the spam update that, like anybody that was doing that sort of stuff, that hit pretty hard. So no, I don't think it's a bad idea for somebody to continually kind of learn, right, as they go. Obviously, the bigger your business gets, the more time you get to spend on the business than in the business, right? Which is ultimately one of my goals for each one of the people that I help, right? I want you guys to be able to focus on growing your business instead of just like, where's the next lead going to come from, right? That's that kind of fear where you've got a team, right? You got to be able to support them, and you got to be able to get those leads in there, sell them, so they have work to do. And I feel like that's where a lot of it comes from, is that kind of place of fear, right? And where's that next one going to come from? We want to get people to a spot where they don't have to worry about where that next one's going to come from. It's coming, right? Yeah. And it's a really high quality lead, right? That's also something we focus on. There's a lot of companies out there, right, that they'll focus on getting you calls, right? But then they end up being like in wildlife removal, specifically like animal control calls for dogs and cats. That's something I hear about all the time, right? We just get so many dog and cat calls, right? We get like animal shelter calls. Okay, well, somebody's not targeting the right keyword, right? Animal control is kind of that weird, it has that weird duality where it means 2 things, right? Sure. And wildlife control hasn't really kicked in, too terribly much. Yeah, so there's a multiple things I would recommend to the small business owners. Yes, you need to have at least a working knowledge. Like, you just need to know, if somebody says Google business profile, the answer should not be, well, what is that, right? You need to know that's a thing you need to do that's important for your business. You may not know how to implement an SEO strategy or a pay-per-click strategy, but knowing that it's something you need to do and finding the right person to do it, whether it be in-house or with an outside agency, is super important.
So Zach, for your firm, and I know that you can't speak to other firms that are out there, but like, what is your ideal customer, or what are some of the things that business owners are going to need to get over or out of their minds so that they can have a successful marketing strategy implemented? One of the things I heard you say, and it was something that came up on a call that I was on yesterday, is, hey, this is not like a 3-month quick fix, boom, get you a bunch of leads, or we work together for a year. And so, I mean, for all intents and purposes, it is certainly a long-term play. And yeah, there's some buttons that you can push or levers that you can pull that will get you some pretty quick results. But I appreciate what you said earlier. It's like, look, we want to work together with people long term. But even if we don't, we want you to have something at the end of it that's still generating leads for you once we're gone, or you've moved to a different firm or taken it in-house or whatever it may be. What are some of the things business owners need to come around to?
That marketing services cost money, right? That's kind of one of the things
be specific, be blunt. I mean, right? Can you speak in terms of like percent of total revenue, or it's not a $200 budget that's going to win,
exactly,
right? A month.
I'm always for very much in the realm of, hey, that 10% mark that everybody always talks about to reinvest into marketing. That's my goal always, right? So if you got a $10,000 Google Ads budget every month or something like that, okay, well, ideally that's generating you $100,000 in revenue, right, that month. That's kind of the target. What I've seen a few times is people will put the toe half in, right? So they'll set a budget they think they can handle, $1,500, $2,500 in ad spend a month or something like that. They'll get halfway through the month, right? They'll get a little bit of that traction, but then they'll be like, well, we spent, $500. I need to wait. I need to hold it off. And when you kind of cut it like that, okay, all the traction, all the learning, everything that's happened in that Google Ads campaign,
you got to do it again.
Is away. You got to start it over. So if you're ready to make that step, if you're ready to start doing that sort of advertising, then you have to commit to it, right? I'm always very much, I'll say it all the time, what you focus on is what you get results, right? So if you're focusing on everything, okay, well, you're not going to get results for anything. But if you have a dead set focus on, I'm going to improve my SEO this year, I'm going to get more reviews. Everybody that's out there right now, I tell it to our team all the time, get more reviews, get more reviews, get more reviews. Reviews are so critical in not only ranking, but just giving that extra little bit of authority to your business before somebody even calls, right? Make sure you get your name in there, right? If you're one of the sales technicians in the field, right? When I get a review, and I don't want just a blank 5-star review on Google, I want to say, Tim was amazing, right? Alex was such a great guy. Jason was so good. Hope, right? She was amazing in the field, right? Those sort of things are what I want to hear. And having the specific pest or the animal that they kind of took care of as part of that process, that's it. That's what you have to aim for every time. So having all those kind of in place and ready to go is super important. But yeah, just being committed to whatever you're going to do. Don't start it and then stop it.
Gotcha. It's like exercising or a new diet, or we all know how that works. It doesn't.
That willpower gets you every time.
Yeah, exactly. So you guys have a fantastic site. One of the offers that you have that I'd like to get more specific about is your social media advertising. In my mind, and correct me where I may be wrong, there's kind of two pieces to that. There is like content creation, and it needs to be good and engaging and get likes and shares and follows and tags and all of the rest of it. Mm-hmm. But then I think the other piece of that is that then it needs to be served up in Facebook or Instagram to more of your ideal clients in your market. And so
Absolutely.
could you, Zach, speak to perhaps each of those points, like content creation, and then also the back end of that, of making sure that you don't just spend all this money on content, an expensive camera and someone that's going and doing your social media, and then it just falls on deaf ears and goes nowhere?
Absolutely. Yeah. So we're seeing that social is becoming even a bigger part of Google's plans, right? Earlier we talked about authority, right? So if you've got a Facebook page with 15 or 20,000 likes or followers or fans or whatever you want to call it, right? Then Google sees that, right? This is an authoritative company. You're even starting to see when you search for some local search terms that Facebook results are coming up on the first page now, right? Which you didn't see that even just like a year and a half ago. So, and TikTok, the same thing, right? I'm all for pushing small businesses to utilize TikTok. I know I will sit there and watch a technician out in the field. There's a bunch of termites everywhere, right? I'm interested, right? You've got me hooked. So having that sort of content creation, right, is always critical. Your techs are in the field every day. They're looking at stuff every single day. your content is there, right? It's right in front of you. They just have to implement it. They have to actually be the ones to take that photo, take that quick video. 15 seconds is all you need, right? And then you can throw it up on Facebook, Instagram.
Well, and not
YouTube,
to mention too, Zach, like you're saying, like our service people out in the field, like they are coming across tons of stuff every day that is gross, interesting. I mean, whatever it is, like really, I mean, there's a page that I follow because I'm such a nerd, but like it's a landscaping company and it's just like simple time-lapse videos of before and after. The yard looked like garbage before, and now it looks like a golf course. Whatever, right? And it's just like, sometimes there's those reels or those pages that like, the most satisfying thing to ever see or watch. And it's
Absolutely.
like, it's just like,
yes.
It's like eye candy. And it's like, yes, I want my yard to look like that. And anyway, what a great way to have that evergreen marketing going on.
Exactly. And you can use that same image in so many different places, right? Oh, you have a completed job section on your website. Oh, that quick 15-second video you posted, that's going to be great on YouTube Shorts now, right? YouTube Shorts is so big right now because YouTube is trying to compete with TikTok, right? So we have this where YouTube Shorts are getting pushed out. You take that content that you posted on TikTok, download it, re-upload it to YouTube Shorts. It's about a full strategy, right? You can't just, again, I'm posting on TikTok a little bit, I'm posting on Facebook once every couple of weeks, right? Like it just doesn't get you any traction, right? You might have something pop viral. It happens all the time. But it's the consistency that really gets you where you're going. So yes, having that content developed all the time, posting regularly, interacting with people, right? This goes for Facebook and other social profiles as well as your reviews, right? If you've got, a 1-star review, that stinks, right? You still need to respond to it. You still need to show those other customers that are looking out there that a 1-star review doesn't mean that you've completely given up on that customer. You try and make it right. That's all you got to do. And sometimes that's enough because people don't just want to see all 5-star reviews because it looks fake. It's kind of like a double-edged sword, right? We just provide such a good service. And then you've got, those customers who are never going to give you a 5-star because nobody can ever get a 5-star, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, great service. Excellent. I will only ever use them. 3 stars. Right.
Yeah. That's 3 stars because there's better out there. I'm sure. I just haven't found it yet.
Yeah. So it's just one of those things. And then, yes, you need to make sure that whatever you're serving, right, is targeted to that local area that you're looking for. So making sure that your Facebook profile and Instagram profile is set up correctly, engaging, right? Not only putting out content, but interacting with other folks' content. You'll see this happen on Instagram a lot where we'll do it too, right? We'll comment on pest control companies' Instagram posts, right? They post something cool, right? It's just all about building another connection, right? And it's just an overall strategy on you need to put out content and you need to comment and interact and share with other people as well to really develop that kind of overall social plan.
And so once you've got the content sort of dialed in, it's engaging, you're posting regularly. I mean, what does the back end administration and marketing look like? I mean, how are you creating lookalike audiences? How are you making sure? So for example, I'm in Phoenix, Arizona. Mm-hmm. How do I make sure that I post and it doesn't go to Las Vegas? Because that's great. They're qualified leads other than they live 5 hours away and we don't service that. You know what I mean? Sort of thing. And so what are the best strategies to be able to make sure that your content is being served up to people that are shopping, people that could be prospects and customers soon?
Absolutely. So a lot of this changed within the last year, right? Because of what Apple had to do and Facebook had to do in terms of collecting people's data, right? So realistically, right, the best thing you can do is target that city center that you're targeting, right? So you said Phoenix, Arizona, right? So I'm going to target Phoenix, right? And then the surrounding towns that I'm going to service. Whatever that service area is, I'm going to build out individual locations, right, within that service area, just to make sure that we're distributing it to the places and the people that we want. You can sometimes, right, designate, okay, well, I want maybe people over 24 to 65, right? There might be an age demographic that you can utilize there. Sometimes if the audiences are set up properly, you can do homeowners, right? People interested in pest control services, things like that. So implementing all that is the first step, right? But then you have to do the data analyzation, right? You have to look and see, okay, am I serving in all these areas, right? Is my budget big enough to serve in all these areas, or is it being eaten up in maybe one place that has a huge population size, right? Am I remarketing to those customers, right, that I've already served? You can upload customer lists to if you want to do remarketing. Usually I found with pest control specifically, right, that's not, you've already got them locked into a contract, hopefully, right? Unless you're on a month-to-month service, they don't need a reminder, right? Hopefully you're calling them and saying, hey, we're coming out. And same with wildlife. Wildlife is more like immediate, right? Like I'm not having this problem, quarterly, right? I'm having this problem right now, this one time. So it's a little bit different, but just making sure you have all those audiences set up properly is huge to success on Facebook and Instagram, and really any social platform that you're advertising on. The audience is critical, because just like you said, if you're advertising across the United States, right, but you're a local service area business that maybe goes 25 miles, okay, that's great, right? But you're just not going to get any results. Your ad budget is going to spend like that because you're dealing with 400 million people, right, versus the maybe 1 million that might be in your service area.
Shooting with a shotgun rather than a rifle. I mean, casting a wide net rather than going after the customer. This has been awesome, Zach. As we kind of start to round this out, I definitely want to give you the last word. I mean, what are your parting thoughts or parting words to those that just like aren't quite ready to pull that? Like they know in their gut, they know in their bones that like they need to do this. What would you say to them? And then anything else you may add? And then also finally, please, how do people reach out to you? If they want to continue the conversation, please definitely, and we'll throw it up when we post this, but like, give us your site. What's the best way for them to contact you and continue the conversation?
Absolutely. So I think overall, right, if anybody takes anything away from this, it's that having a good Google business profile and having a good website set up, those two alone will do wonders for you, right? Google ads, those will come and go, right? Ideally, right, you're generating enough organic leads that you're not going to even have to use pay-per-click, and you can use that as a supplemental thing, right, instead of part of the main strategy. But once you get to a certain size, you almost have to, right? There's only so many leads to go around, so you have to implement a couple of different strategies. But what I want people, business owners that are not ready to make that leap, just think bigger, right? Think 5 years down the road, right? Where do you want to be? Where do you want to be next year? And I feel like a lot of times when you're in that, maybe $50,000 to $250,000 a year range, right? You're still just trying to hustle so much, right, to generate that income, to generate that revenue, so you can hire an additional person to run that route. You can spend more time on everything. So I think thinking bigger, right, is the biggest thing that you need to do to make that leap, right? Okay, well, I only generated 20 leads this month, right? Maybe that's all you've ever done. Okay, well, what would it look like if you generated 150 a month? Okay, what does that do for your business? What does that do for you as a person, right? You can keep growing your business that way. You can keep hiring staff to make you more money, right? So it's taking that leap from I'm a small business and I'm only ever going to do this, right? I'm happy here, right? Are you? If you are, that's great, right? Some people, that's all they want to do. They want to run that route and be done, and that's fine. But if you're looking to make that leap, if you're looking to make a splash in the industry, you have to do all this. You just have to. And what I really, really hope is that whether it's with us, right, whether it's some other marketing company, you find the right people to listen to, right? Because having an advisor in your corner is always going to be the best bet, right? Somebody who actually knows what they're talking about, and listening to them and implementing those strategies, right? Because we can all listen to somebody, but whether or not we implement those at the very end of the day is a different story. So if you trust somebody and you are asking for the recommendations in the marketing world and they sound like they're on the level and you've worked with them for a little bit, take those recommendations and run with them. And then in closing, people can find me at hivemarketingteam.com. You can fill out a contact form there. You can also, there's a phone number on the site that I cannot remember off the top of my head right now. And then I'll also post my cell phone number, 540-834-3725. You guys can call me directly anytime. Happy to talk with anybody out there about their marketing services or just what they're kind of doing as a business. Because at the end of the day, at Hive Marketing, we really want to help people reach that next level. We really want them to succeed. Again, I want to be fired by you at some point, but not for lack of performance or anything like that, that you feel comfortable enough to handle everything on your own. And once you reach that certain size, right, we want to help you get that in-house person, right? That marketing generalist or whatever that can handle all your stuff. And we'll even train them for you. That's all part of that marketing independence deal.
Incredible. And that is an offer, that one at the end. And hey, let us kind of show you the ropes, teach you. You find somebody in-house or go and recruit somebody. We'll train them so that they can do all the things that we know and whatever else. And we'll be here as a resource as long as they need it. So thank you so much. Zack Flanagan, everybody at Hive Marketing. Check them out. Thank you so much for your time and being on, and everyone that's catching it and listening. Thank you for your time. Until the next one, create a great day.
Thank you for listening to the Multiply You podcast. You'll see us again soon when you subscribe for future episodes.